Bloc Party Alpha Games album review. Let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this latest from Bloc Party, UK-based post-punk revival legends. They've been at it since the early 2000s and for quite some time were on top of the world. I can't stress this enough. Silent Alarm was one of the first albums I ever purchased on CD back in the days, and I can't stress enough how much it really changed my life and changed, my course of music enjoyment. I mean, sure, at the time I loved my Strokes, I loved my Franz Ferdinand, but Silent Alarm for me was different. It was incredibly well wrote, incredibly passionate, and just really well performed, and just one of the best examples of a really introspective post-punk album. It is a stone cold classic, but ever since, it has been a very odd ride for Bloc Party. I mean, I've always thought that A Weekend in the City goes underappreciated. Yes, the production's very shiny, it's all shined up, it's a completely different direction for the band, but overall, it still had a lot of great material. I wish I could say the same thing about Intimacy. A lot of people fell off with Bloc Party around here, me included. I thought this album was really tough. It's got no heart, no soul, and less memorable material. I do, however, think 4 gets a little bit of a bad reputation. It's not perfect, it's far from it, but as far as a true blue post-punk revival album goes from Bloc Party, it's probably the best thing they did since Silent Alarm. I mean, Octopus alone was one of their best tracks in years. Now, 2016's Hymns, it's tough. To an extent, I actually feel like it gets a bad reputation. Lyrically and emotionally, this album is really misunderstood and at times absolutely gorgeous. Instrumentally, though, it was really dull and made me kind of forget most of the album. Now, it's been 6 years. This is the first recording of a Bloc Party album with this completely new lineup, and I was very interested to hear what they were going to be putting out. The problem is, these new singles, oof, they were pretty rough to listen to. Let's chat about this thing. I mean, early on in the album, we actually get some pretty decent tracks. I think Day Drink is a good one. It has the intensity and the urgency of an album from Bloc Party that I like. We get a jagged riff, we get a very intense chorus, we get some commentary as well that's kind of expected by now. It's not a really bad intro at all. As a matter of fact, it gave me a lot of hope for this album. And despite some cringeworthy lines, I think Callum as a snake is pretty good too. Love the intensity once again, the hypnotic vibes to it. It's one of the heavier tracks as well. I mean, if you do a deep dive into these lyrics, you're gonna have a bad time. There are some cringeworthy moments. I mean, it's supposed to be this grand statement, this universal statement for whoever's ever been fucked over in their lives. That's fine. I love that. But there are just some lines here that are a little, cringe-inducing. I think it works better, though, combined with this throttling instrumental that we get here. But man, most of this album is pretty inexcusable. We get tracks like You Should Know the Truth. It kind of sounds like Bloc Party is trying way too hard. Now, like I said, this is the band's first album with their sort of new lineup. There's going to be some growing pains. But once again, this is cheesy, cringeworthy at times. At the end of the day, really kind of annoying more than anything. Rough Justice isn't much better. It just doesn't sound good. Most of this track just sounds demo quality. And lyrically, I am beyond lost. I mean, how did we go from this genuinely beautiful spiritual albums like Hymns to this? Like, how? It doesn't make much sense to me. This album is grating. The girls that are fighting, this track has given me nightmares since it dropped. Lyrics aside, once again, this just doesn't sound good. Like, I know that a lot of people say that post-punk revival doesn't have a lot of fresh ideas these days. Hey guys, have you heard this? This is really bad. Like, I feel like Bloc Party are trying to be super deep and introspective, but just missing the mark completely. Of things yet to come is just frustrating. And trust me, the last thing I needed right now was a low-energy, dreamy indie rock track. It's got me looking for the off button, folks, and Sex Magic isn't helping either. This track has, once again, really haunted me since it dropped as a single. I mean, at least early on the album, this album had some energy, some intensity to it. But even that is waning, and we get these misguided lyrics here, and production that's not that special either. These performances are getting more and more depressing as the album goes on. Traps, I have a lot of conflicting thoughts on. As a matter of fact, instrumentally, it takes me back for the most part. I mean, as far as that goes, this is where I want to hear Bloc Party in 2022. That's fine, but once again, we get to these lyrics. Once again, they're trying to make some big grand statement, but it's not working. I can't help but cringe once again. But even more so frustrating for this album is they get this late album burst of energy and actually put out some of the best tracks here. By any means necessary, I'd love to know where this was 5 tracks ago. This is a very tense, precise, hypnotic track. I actually really love the electronic beat that pops in. Now, this is a track about getting what you want in life by any means necessary, no matter what. And honestly, it's one of the most coherent and complete thoughts here. I love it, and I love In Situ as well. I mean, yeah, we're 10 tracks in, and now we're starting to see some experimentation and some risks. It's frustrating. I love the intensity of this track, the way that this instrumental seems to whir by. It's just so uncomfortable in its skin, and yes, lyrically, it gets pretty out there, but actually it's one of the easier to stomach moments. And I like If We Get Caught, too. As far as a true blue Bloc Party track goes, look no further. It's one of the breezier tracks here, one of the more carefree tracks, even if lyrically it is anything but that. It gets pretty wonky at times, but I needed this. It's just nice, and honestly, what I kind of hope for most of this album. Then we get the Peace Offering as a finale, and I mean, I'm just exhausted. This album has no middle ground. It's either solid or really unlistenable. This track isn't terrible. It's far from the worst sin committed here, that's for sure, but at this point I'm just so fed up with so much of this. Like, I see bands from this era, like The Strokes, trying new things these days, trying to stay relevant, experimenting, and getting genuinely weird, even if it means taking on a new genre. And then I hear this. This is grating. This is really sad for the most part. And I thought that from the singles being dropped. I mean, there are moments here that show that Bloc Party can put together concrete thoughts still, but most of this album is cringeworthy and pretty obnoxious and sad to listen to. Sorry guys, it's just not for me. I'm feeling a decent 4 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.